But it's never a good sign when the State Department comes out and says, hey, Americans, shelter in place. Do not leave your resorts. Do not go on the roads. Roads are shut down. You can look out the window and you see the destruction and the buses on fire and the vehicles on fire and the buildings on fire. It looks like a war zone. And you've got the cartel kind of declaring war against the government there. This is that's not a recipe for a vacationer wanting to get in the middle of, right? Of things that they're, when we talk about unique experiences, there might be, I guess, some people interested in that, but that's not the unique experience we're trying to, that we're trying to put people in the middle of. And it is unfortunate. I mean, this was in Puerto Vallarta?
Jalisco.
Is it right by the, I think it was Puerto Vallarta.
It's like right next to it?
Yeah, right by there. And so, this is a resort town.
You're right.
Yeah.
Yep.
And it is, obviously a lot of travelers are there. Beach community, lots of fun things to go enjoy the sunshine and the palm trees and the beach and the water. And you got a lot of vacationers down there. And so lots of properties on Airbnb, short-term rentals, definitely going to be affected. How long? I think the jury's still out on that, but I do think that it is the cartels have been in the back of people's minds who travel down to Mexico for some time. We haven't really seen anything really come of it necessarily, but when it has already been in the back of your minds, and it is in the back of some travelers' minds, they're like, a lot of people for a long time are like, it's not a big deal. They leave tourists alone. They own a lot of, or we believe a lot of people believe they have ownership in a lot of these resorts. So they don't want to affect travel. They make a lot of money from it. But when they full on declare war on Mexico and the U.S., right? This was definitely spearheaded by Trump declaring the cartels terrorist organizations, trying to shut down the spread of fentanyl into the U.S. and the drugs that are coming into the U.S. and the trafficking. This is one of the biggest traffickers in North America, and was really putting pressure on the Mexican government. The Mexican government went in and pulled out this operation, was my understanding, with the support of U.S. Resources, right? And so it is, when that's the case and these guys retaliate, it's not something that you probably want to put yourself in the middle of. They have historically left alone tourists, but that might not be the case moving forward. And so I think it affects it for a little while. Even if things stop and things start to calm down, I think people will be a little bit saying, hey, I'm not sure that I want to go. Cancellations are going to be a thing. Refunds should probably be a thing.
I would think so, yeah.
I don't know if Airbnb's policy is, when something like that breaks out, if you can get a full refund, even if somebody has a strict cancellation policy. But as a host, to be honest, those are some of the risks you take when you invest in some of these areas. The cartels running the show in a lot of these areas, and their presence in a lot of these areas is no surprise to people. So you're taking a risk going into certain areas like this. When we talk about investing in certain areas in the U.S., when we take risks with regulations and different types of areas with different types of regulations, we know as an investor that's a risk. When you go invest in some of these other areas, and that those types of organizations have a big influence and footprint in some of those areas, it's a risk you're taking as well. So people might not like hearing that, but sometimes you got to look in the mirror and say, did I really think that none of this was ever a possibility of happening?
Well, I mean, it's also, that's a great point, because it seems like Florida, right, with like hurricanes or these crazy storms. I mean, you got to expect sometime that's going to probably happen. So, I mean, it directly correlates. What do you think about the surrounding places we have? Let's see here, Cancun, that seems to be a big one. Riviera Maya.
Riviera Maya.
I've never been there. I don't know. Yeah. Tulum. Do you think these places are also affected, or do you think people go, well, that's just happening over there? Let's try one of these out.
Yeah, it's a good question. For me as a traveler, like I haven't, and this is not throwing shade on Mexico. I've had a great time in Mexico. I don't travel to Mexico for this reason.
Yeah.
I'm kind of that guy that is always predicting there's economists that predict a recession every single year. Well, 1 in 20 years they're right. I'm kind of that guy with Mexico. I'm like, I'm not going down there because I'm not messing with the cartel. I'm not messing with at some point, shit's going to hit the fan and there's going to be something. So I'm kind of the guy. So full disclosure, I don't want to sit here and say I told you so, but I kind of am internally the guy that is like, I don't really like to go to those areas because if something happens, and I know the presence is there. I know it's out there. I know most of the time it doesn't happen and everybody has a great time. I prefer to spend my money when I want to go to the beach in Hawaii. Right. I don't go to Mexico. So I don't want to sit here and act like I knew this was going to happen, but I actually am in the back of my mind. Teresa and I won't take our kids down to Mexico. We don't go down and mess around in those areas because we don't really like how things are run. And we feel like that there's a possibility of this happening. Maybe this puts it more on the forefront of other people's minds, like it kind of has been on ours, maybe not justified the way that we think about it. But now I'm like, see, I told Teresa and I are looking at each other at coffee like, well, we knew this was going to happen. Now we kind of are again, like, I want to I don't want to be like, oh yeah, I knew this was always going to happen, but it is something that has kept us away from those areas for a while.
Right. No, I think genuinely a lot of people understand what you're saying there.